So I'll now introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Carolyn Montoya. Dr. Montoya is an Associate Dean of Clinical Affairs at the University of New Mexico College of Nursing. Dr. Montoya served as president of the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council, where she worked to achieve the successful passage of legislation resulting in full prescriptive authority for nurse practitioners in our state. She has also served as president of the American College of Nurse Practitioners, advocating for full scope practice for all states, and president of the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners, where she advocated for improving the health of children and families. In 2014, Dr. Montoya was selected as a fellow in the American Association of Nurse Practitioners and received the Western Institute Nursing Carol A. Lindemann Award for New Researcher for her study, Children's Self-Perceptions of Weight in Rural Hispanic Communities. In rural Hispanic community. She was inducted as a fellow of the American Academy of Nurses in October of 2016 and continues to be involved with child health care policy and policy issues related to the scope of practice for advanced practice nursing. She is currently serving as a member of the U.S. Health and Human Services Rural Health Advisory Committee. Dr. Montoya received her doctorate of philosophy from UNM as a fellow of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Nursing and Health Policy Collaborative. Her Master's of Sciences in Nursing from Yale University and her Bachelor of Science in Nursing is from UNM. And I get to call her friend. Carol.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that lovely introduction, and to all the speakers that we have here. Me llamo Carolina Montoya, yo soy una enfermera especialista, yo soy la hija de Adenago Jaramillo y Susana Jaramillo. So I am a first-gen college graduate from Belen, New Mexico. My mother was a land grant, her family was land grant here in Tomei, so I am home. So, I thought a lot about what this speech should be, and I tend to go off script a lot. So I actually wrote my own little script, so I would be more proper. What I wanted to talk to you about today is that we have been through one of the most remarkable 2-year periods in the history of not just this country, but the history of the world. And there has been a lot of pain and suffering that has happened at this time. And one of the things that I want to do for you is that I really want to talk about resilience. Regardless of who you are, if you're a nursing student, you're nurses in practice, you're nurse educators, these past 2 years have been really trying. And you may recall that at the very beginning of the pandemic, the nurses were treated as heroes. What you may not know is that nursing for many, many years, except during 9/11, has been the #1 trusted profession of all professions. The only time at 9/11 was the police and fire workers at that time. But every single year we come out on top as the most trusted profession. So at that time, I remember seeing in New York, the nurses were coming off their 12-hour shift, and they were coming home, and everybody would come in the streets because everybody was home, and they would applaud them, and they would play music, and they would, try to lift their spirits because they knew what they had taken on was so very tough. However, as the pandemic continued to surprise us with multiple variances, the nurses started being treated less than as heroes. And frankly, they were incredibly fatigued from all that they were doing. Some individuals actually blamed the nurses for not saving them or for the fact that a relative was dying. So this just added to the stress that nurses face on a regular basis. And yet here you are, the very best and the very brightest, because you come from Valencia County, and the very best, the very brightest. And so I want to send you out in the community with something with a shield, and that shield is resilience. Nurses are one of the most resilient professions that there can be when you think about what we face, and when you really think about what we have faced during the COVID. This concept of resilience has been very well studied, and not just in nursing, but across a lot of disciplines. However, I want to focus on some nursing research that has been done by nurse researchers. Dr. Daly in 2020, before the pandemic, identified 3 themes around the concept of resilience: hardiness, flexibility, challenges. Hardiness was defined as a characteristic that includes a sense of control, a commitment to finding meaning in life, and viewing adversity as a challenge. Flexibility is really this ease of adjusting or returning to baseline functioning in situations or conditions, regardless of the circumstances. Flexibility. What was the first thing that happened in the COVID? We needed masks. We didn't have enough masks. What did the nurses do? They made masks. And that's just one example of what, when you're hit with a crisis, what do you do? How do you react? Because that's the one thing that you can control. Flexibility is really associated with resilience and rebound, the ability to rebound from something that has happened that has so devastated. When I think of an example of rebound, I think of Nelson Mandela, who spent so many years in prison and then came out and led the movement to end apartheid in South Africa. Another colleague, another nurse researcher, Dr. Yu and her colleagues in Auckland, they talked about work-related factors associated with nurse resilience. And what they found was that the nurses that had the most resilience were able to handle burnout, were able to handle stress, and really recover from those incidents that had occurred. The study also revealed that coping skills, self-efficacy, social support would foster the building of resilience. Keep in mind that these studies were before COVID-19. Since COVID-19, we have had a lot of work done, a lot of researchers looking at how do we help our nurses when they are in such high stress times. And there was one study that I really liked. It was from West Virginia. And the reason I liked this, because it really was looking at a survey among nursing students in rural Appalachia. And this was in April of 2020, just a month after COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. The findings demonstrated that overall resilience, having online experience, and being well prepared for learning, online learning, were associated with quality of life domains. What they did find was that about 38% of the sample had poor resiliency scores, and that's what made life so much tougher for them. So this is about how do you build resilience. So I put those papers aside. I really felt that I had to give you some research because that's what you learned, right? You look at the research first. But now I'm going to tell you my story. I grew up a small family of 3. My brother was oldest, my sister, and then myself. And we had a large extended family. My mother was Sanchez, and she was the baby of 16 children. My father was illegitimate, so he did not have a lot of family on his side. Both my mother and father became ill. Not when I was young. I was very fortunate that when I was young, they were very capable and gave us, had a good development that happened. But I would say about when I was in the 5th grade, this illness overtook them. And the illness was twofold. It was alcoholism, and my mother was had mental issues. She was a bipolar. So from that time on, through the rest of their lives, we dealt with these illnesses. And we were fortunate because we had a very large extended family. Had the time been the time is now, we most likely would have been removed from that home. However, that was a different time, and as I said, we had many extended family that stepped in when it was necessary. My mother was a revolving of hospitalizations. I can tell you every single psychiatric hospital in this state. And when I was going off, when I was a junior in high school, my father died. My brother at that time had just gone to UNM. He left, and he came and became the breadwinner for the family. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. So when it was, my sister went to school at New Mexico State, I don't know why. And then it became my turn, and I definitely chose UNM. But I remember the pressure that was put on me that I should stay home and take care of my mother. But I also remember the people who told me, no, we'll help you out. And I am sure many of you in this audience have experienced that need to care for someone, and you have to make decisions about what you do. And so for the rest of, till my mother passed, I was the one that was actually closer at that time, and I'm the one that had to deal with her hospitalizations and her crises and things that happened. But what did that give me? I was fortunate that my young years were solid, so that's I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, so let me tell you, that's very important, that the young years are solid. The later years were tough. They were very tough. But I developed resilience. I knew that I could handle what came, and I knew that I could count on other people to help me, and I wasn't afraid to ask for that help. So fast forward to today, I went to Yale, which was very different from Belen. I still remember when I got there, I cried, and I knew that I would never, when I lived in Belen, and even in Albuquerque, I always ran into somebody I knew, because we had a large family. I knew in Yale I would never run into anybody I knew. So I got through that, and my family helped a great deal. And at each point, when you have a block, when you have something that happens to you, draw on your strength. Remember that you are flexible, that you will think of a way to do this. That's what we all do. And let me tell you, as a nurse, you will do it a lot, and you will come through. And resilience is what is going to help you do this. So with that, I hope that that is something that sticks in your mind. And congratulations. I always tell everybody the best decision I ever made was to be a nurse. I have held almost every single position at the College of Nursing, including acting dean, and I am currently the interim vice dean at the College of Nursing. This is something I would never have expected that I would do when I was 18, 19 years old. So again, congratulations, and que les vaya bien.
And she left mentor off that list. She mentored many of us at the College of Nursing. Next, I'd like to introduce our class speaker, Samantha Mora.
Okay. You guys better hope I don't pass out, because Gerald's going to come up here and talk if I do. Okay? We'll never leave. Okay. Family, friends, faculty, and of course my awesome cohort. I'm so excited to be with you all today. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And although dreaming requires sleeping, which we didn't get much of in nursing school, I love this quote because Valencia Nursing Class of 2022, the future belongs to us. I am so proud of this class and all of the adversities that we have overcome. We began this program with COVID-19, and it's a consistent reminder of uncertain times. Some of it was in person, wearing masks and social distancing, while we had some asynchronous versus synchronous learning, and we know how fun that was on Zoom. The social distancing in class meant we were in small groups, doing clinical skills with each other, but wait, there are too many in this room, now somebody go to that room, somebody come over here. Did you listen to their lungs, but you told me we couldn't touch them, all that fun stuff. But honestly, all the while we're hearing that nagging voice in the back of our heads telling us constantly that we were never going to be able to complete this program and that it was impossible. This was never easy, and we all battled different demons and obstacles, and yet here we are. Nursing school is on my list of one of the most difficult things that I've ever done, but now I understand why it must be. Being a nurse will prove to be difficult, and although I would never want to repeat nursing school, I am so grateful for the lifelong friendships that we've acquired on this journey. We have shared laughter, frustration, and tears, lots and lots of tears. And the list goes on and on. From study groups that began and sometimes ended with just mild complaining, to clinicals that ended with ice cream dates and study sessions at Chick-fil-A after those long days at clinicals because we had an exam the next day. These are the memories I will hold close to my heart and help me remember why I wanted to be a nurse when the days do become long and difficult. Next, I want to say thank you to our faculty, Almarina, Megan, Julia, Sheena, and Sheila. You guys have all been amazing, and we all appreciate all the support you provided us. I believe I speak for the class when I say, Joe, you've been amazing. Thank you. We cannot put into words how grateful we are for you and everything you've done. And as a number 17 in a program that only allows 16, without you, I literally wouldn't be here right now. Lastly, I would like to say thank you to all of our families and friends. Nursing school made us all crazy, and you all had to deal with that crazy. The love and support and encouragement that you have shown helped to push us through, even really all you want to do is push us off a cliff. We love you all for that. In closing, I would like to leave my cohort with my favorite saying from Dr. Seuss. You have brains in your head, feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. Congratulations, class of 2022. We did it.
Sam, come back. You were a little too fast. Okay. Okay, so now we will begin what you all came here for today, and that is the pinning of the graduates.
Anne Marie Blair, or Annie. Mira Charla. Emily Conway. Julie Curtis. Alicia Galas Portillo. And congratulations, Alicia, you won the Student Academic Award. Elida Martinez Jaramillo. Yari Martinez Jaramillo. Samantha Mora. Oh. Lupita Munoz. Devin Pohl. Holly Reimsold.
I'm so sorry.
Gerald Sanchez. Jenna Sessions. Congratulations, everybody. It was an honor being a part of this. Thank you.
Another tradition in nursing after pinning is the new graduates taking the Nightingale Pledge and lighting the candle that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to turn the program over to Sheena Lizzie and Julia Cedillo.
Before we begin that, another tradition, because you know nursing is steeped in history and tradition, is we would like to recognize and honor all the nurses that are here today in the audience. You're a nurse, you've worked as a nurse, you're a retired nurse, please stand up, including my colleagues. Please stay standing, please stay standing. I will have you sit down when we recognize the years that you've been a nurse. So if you've been a nurse from 0 to like 5 years, please have a seat. 6 years to 10 years, please have a seat. Thank you. 11 years to 15 years, have a seat. 16 years to 20 years. 21 years to 25 years. 26 years to 30 years. 31 years to 35 years. This is where I would sit. How many years, Dr. Montoya? How many years?
Let's see, it'll be
27.
I was going to say, you need to sit down. So we're going to have you all come up. We're going to take the pledge. You're going to light the little lantern. Again, there's a history with the lantern. She was a night nurse. She worked when there was no electricity. So she carried the lantern. She carried the lantern because there was nothing. It was dark. So we're going to have you take your lanterns. The lantern is symbolic of the nurses who check on their patients all the time.
My honor to lead the pledge tonight. I want to let you know that this pledge has been a tradition for as long as most of us can remember, for new nurses that are coming into nursing. It basically lays the foundation of why we all are nurses. So if you all will repeat after me. I solemnly pledge myself before the presence of this assembly to pass my life in purity and practice my profession faithfully. I will abstain from whatever is deleterious and mischievous, and I will not take or knowingly administer any harmful drug. I will do all in my power to maintain and elevate the standard of my profession, and will hold in confidence all personal matters committed to my keeping, and family affairs coming to my knowledge, in the practice of my calling. With loyalty, I will endeavor to aid the provider in their work and devote myself to the welfare of those committed to my care. Congratulations.
I was getting ready to say graduates, but I can say nurses, can you please take a seat? I want to thank you all for coming tonight for this auspicious occasion, the first step on their journey. This class is kind of special to me because they were my first class that was admitted when I became program director. So the last 2 years, I've gotten very close to the individuals in this class. So it's quite moving for me to finally see them all move on and become nurses. So if we could just give the new graduates and new nurses one big round of applause.